We finally reached the mythic rarity, and who better to start off with than the most popular and the most hated of the mythics, Mortis. In this video, we'll talk about what exactly Mortis is and how that connects to his skill expression. Of course, when it comes to skill, we'll talk about how Brawl Stars mishandled what was once one of the most skillful brawlers in the game. As you can tell by the video length, I'm keeping it short. Like, subscribe, join our server, and become a member if you like the content and want to support the channel. When it comes to Mortis, he's a pretty interesting character. He was the original dasher, being the first brawler to actually move with his main attack, which means that his main source of mobility is also his main source of damage, which is important. Another thing to keep in mind is that every 4.5 seconds he does an attack, he gets a long range dash of 4.67 tiles. Other than that, his reload speed is very slow. His health is actually quite large, but his damage is quite low at 2000 per shot. His super sees him deal 1800 damage, but more importantly, heal that same amount, and even more importantly, stacks with multiple enemies hit. Also, it has a very nice range of 10 tiles. With his basics out of the way, let's talk more about Mortis, starting with his classification. He's basically a perfect example of a dive character. But what exactly is a dive character? Well, a dive character is someone who has several key characteristics: extremely mobile, mediocre DPS, and mediocre health characters that have the purpose of taking down the squishies on the enemy team. Basically, these guys are characters that bypass regular team combat, usually moving solo and having extremely independent gameplay. These guys are all about moving in quick, taking down a low health target, which could either be a squishy or someone who's just at low health, and moving out as fast as possible. Another interesting thing about them is that they also thrive against characters with low DPS, as a lot of them have self-healing mechanics. We can see that this fits basically perfectly with Mortis. He's all about insane movement and mobility, and he's best used in 1v1 situations against, you guessed it, squishy brawlers. However, he has a uniquely good matchup against throwers, because how terrible they are against brawlers who have dash abilities. So, all Mortis needs to do is be patient, which, to be fair, is difficult, and he can win the matchup 100% of the time. Of course, being a dive brawler comes with its own weaknesses, and for Mortis, he's terrible against high DPS brawlers, and is just generally bad against brawlers who counter tanks. This lends into my second main point, the amount of skill required to play Mortis. First of all, the patience that is needed to play Mortis. Many matchups in the game are against Mortis, and he's basically only viable as a last pick. Because of this, in game you often have to pick and choose your timings for a fight, as the wrong move at the wrong time can lead to your death. An example could be not keeping track of Shelly's supercharge, and therefore moving in on what you think is a low health Shelly when they're actually just one shot away from super, leading to your death. There's no doubt Mortis is not an easy brawler to master. The main problem comes with his main attack. Each use of the main attack must be expressly calculated. You cannot simply just auto-aim it. You have to put thought into each and every attack. The biggest problems with the attack are that it doubles as a mobility tool, and the very slow reload speed it has. This means that you have to choose between the two. If you attack someone, you need to be completely sure of winning the interaction, or you need to reserve some ammo for running away. If you want to get into an interaction quickly, you need to make sure to reserve some ammo for the actual fight when using his attack. You can extend it to dodging as well, as you can use his attack to dodge but at the cost of losing ammo. Basically, Mortis is actually quite similar to Ashe in that he's all about balance and opportunity cost. However, this can be alleviated with Mortis' gadgets. Mortis' combo spinner basically acts as an extra main attack for damage, while Mortis' Creature of the Night gadget basically acts as an extra main attack for mobility for Mortis. Overall, they do give more leeway for Mortis, but nothing too insane. However, there's another unlockable for Mortis that causes real problems when it comes to Mortis' skill. See, there's another skill I haven't mentioned with Mortis, team wiping. This is not easy by any means. You need to have a bunch of conditions line up perfectly for this to happen. You need your enemies to not be direct counters like Shelly or Gale. You need your enemies to not be at a tank health. You need to have perfect usage of your ammo, perfect aim of your super, the enemies all bunched up, and you get the point. It's not easy at all. But guess what? Mortis' Hypercharge exists to completely remove basically all the aforementioned difficulties. Suddenly, your average Joe, or in other words, me, can even do a team wipe with Mortis. It's no longer a skill you have to practice meticulously, or even need the conditions to line up for. It's something you can do on a consistent basis as long as you're pretty good at the game. And this sort of messes with his dive classification. Most dive characters are more about singling out one target and constantly taking them out, or at least taking out one target at a time, moving in and out quickly. Well, with Mortis' Hypercharge, suddenly this changes and he can take out the entire team out at once. I mean, this goes against the very point of a dive character. And don't get me started on Mortis' buffies. Combo Spinner's buffie is diabolically broken and allows Mortis to deal damage amounts he really shouldn't be able to as a dive brawler, and with just a green button. Literally no skill involved. His other gadget buffie just shouldn't exist, basically giving him a mini super for doing absolutely nothing other than pressing a green button. Overall, these gadget buffies just make Mortis too powerful and easy to play. Creepy Harvest gives Mortis more health, the more kills he gets, which is actually a little bit better design, as it rewards getting kills and being good at the game. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for Coiled Snake, which simply just gives Mortis even more health, with the shield during his long dash. Funnily enough, his Hypercharge buffie isn't anything crazy, but still just gives Mortis more assurance of putting his enemies into a premature coffin. Overall, when it comes to buffies, they just give Mortis buffs in areas that shouldn't be done for dive brawlers. There's no reason for there being a green button basically equivalent to a super. This just removes all of the ammo management, precise gameplay, and matchup awareness that used to be required when playing Mortis. Nowadays, you could honestly even beat your counters with Mortis. If this is the current state of the meta, count me out. Now, where does Mortis go from here? Well, apparently Combo Spinner is thankfully getting huge nerfs, but even still, the major issues are still there. His other gadget will rise to the top, and his other buffies are still well and intact, as well as his hyper. Even if he isn't as meta as before, he'll still be a far cry from his past as one of the most difficult brawlers in the game to play. And as always, thanks for watching. Watch this video, or this playlist, or join the Discord server.